diplomatic tool for the promotion of religious freedom and for human rights in the volatile regions of the Near East and South Central Asia. I thank the gentleman for his bill, and I urge support for this meaningful legislation and yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from California is recognized.
Yes, I'm pleased to yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Peters.
The gentleman from Michigan is recognized for 3 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased today to rise in support of H.R. 440, a bill to establish a special envoy to promote freedom of religious minorities in the Near East and South Central Asia. As a co-sponsor of this bipartisan legislation and as a member of the Religious Minorities of the Middle East Caucus, I strongly support its passage. While many parts of the Near East and Southeast Asia are predominantly Muslim, historically these areas have been home to a diverse group of ethnic and religious minorities. Whether it is Chaldeans, Syriacs, and Assyrians in Iraq, Baha'i in Iran, Copts in Egypt, or the Hindus in Pakistan, religious minorities have for centuries lived and worshipped alongside their Muslim countrymen and women. Unfortunately, instability in the Middle East has had a disproportionately negative impact on religious minorities. The most striking example of this has been in Iraq, where more than half of the Iraqi Christian population has been forced to flee the country since the invasion of Iraq in 2003. Those who have stayed have been specifically targeted in gruesome and random acts of violence, such as murder, rape, and abduction. This includes religious and community leaders like Archbishop Reho, who has been kidnapped and murdered. Religious minorities who have suffered attacks in their places of worship, such as the October 2010 massacre at Our Lady of Salvation Church in Baghdad, in which 58 worshipers were killed by militants and extremists. While the end of the Mubarak regime in Egypt has brought about the promise for democratic reform, it has also given rise to instability and acts of violence against religious minorities. Coptic Christians have lived peacefully in this part of the world for centuries, but sadly, in recent months, Coptic churches and protesters have been targeted for violence. Freedom of religion is something we take for granted here in the United States. Our citizens are free to worship however they please, without fear that they will be targeted for violence because of their religious beliefs. I'm honored to represent Michigan's 9th Congressional District, which is the home to an amazing, diverse population. We have Jewish synagogues, Islamic mosques, Hindu temples, and Christian churches of almost every kind imaginable. This diversity is a source of strength in our community and something my constituents are very proud of. Many of my constituents have relatives in Near East or South Central Asia, and they wish that they too had the same freedom to worship that so many of us take for granted. They are desperate to see the United States take more leadership in promoting religious tolerance overseas. That is why the legislation we're debating today is so important. It creates a permanent special envoy that will work on behalf of the President and the Secretary of State to advance the cause of religious minorities abroad. This individual will be able to ensure that the United States is fully engaged to fight to protect religious minorities in other countries and to help hold our own government accountable when that should be done. I would like to thank Representative Wolf, who is not only the author of this legislation, but also the co-chair of Religious Minorities of the Middle East, as a tireless champion on behalf of vulnerable populations. And I'd also like to thank my friend Representative Eshoo, who is also a co-chair of the caucus and a true champion for religious minorities in the Middle East.
Gentleman's time's expired.
I urge my colleagues to support this legislation so that the United States will be vigilant in promoting religious tolerance and freedom around the world.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from New Jersey is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, we have no further requests for time and reserve the balance of our time. Do you have any further?
Gentleman from California is recognized.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized
simply
for
to
such time as he may
indicate
consume.
that I have no further requests for speakers. I simply ask the House to pass what is, I think, an important bill, because we only have to read what's going on recently to understand this is a rapidly increasing and severe problem that affects those countries and deeply in terms of the conflicts and tensions. I think much good can come from having someone focused on these issues in that region, and I urge an aye vote and yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The gentleman from New Jersey.
We do have a man, one of our members who made his way here, Congressman Joe Pitts of Pennsylvania. So I do yield Mr. Pitts 1.5 minutes.
Gentleman from Pennsylvania is recognized for 1.5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to urge this chamber to support H.R. 440, a bill that requires the President to appoint a special envoy at the State Department to advocate for religious minorities in the Near East and South Central Asia. And I commend the gentleman for his leadership on this matter. I've personally met with oppressed peoples from all over the globe, predominantly ones from the Near East and South Asia. The region has long been a hotbed of religious discrimination, and little has been done by our government to aid these innocent practitioners of faith. Revolutions striving for democracy and greater expression in the region have been matched by a wake of religious intolerance and extremism. As we cherish our right to the free expression of religion here at home, our State Department needs to reflect our dedication to protecting this right in our diplomatic engagements abroad. Religious minorities in Egypt, Iraq, Iran, countless other countries are left without an advocate in the political process of their respective governments. And H.R. 440 would provide an envoy that can advocate for these religious minorities and focus solely on their plight while being able to avoid bureaucratic red tape. As basic human rights are increasingly under assault in this region, our government needs to rapidly respond to the new challenges rapidly emerging. It is our nation's, in our strategic interest, to pass this legislation. I ask the members to join me in supporting it. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from New Jersey is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material in H.R. 440.
Without objection, so ordered.
You yield them a minute to
Sure. I yield to
I've given up
Zoe
my
Lofgren.
time.
Thank you.
The gentlelady is recognized for how long?
I just need a minute.
1 minute.
1 minute.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and this is a bipartisan bill which I support. I would just note, and I know the gentleman's long history with mine of advocating for human rights and religious freedom in Vietnam. And I hope that we can follow up this great effort with a similar effort really specifically oriented towards the religious oppression that's going on in Vietnam against the Buddhists, against the Cao Gai, against the Catholics, and many others. And I commend the gentleman for this bill. I just wanted to raise that issue in the hopes that it can be addressed at a later date. And I thank the gentleman for yielding and yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from New Jersey is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume to close.
The gentleman is recognized for such time as he may consume.
Mr. Speaker, the issue of religious freedom for minorities in the Middle East and South Central Asia must be of the highest priority. For far too long, religious minorities have been overlooked, even trivialized. Their rights and even their very lives must now be assiduously protected in this time of political upheaval, especially in the Middle East. Mr. Wolf had the foresight to draft this bill before the so-called Arab Spring. It was needed in January. It's even more needed now, especially in light of the spate of church bombings and escalated persecution against believers, especially with kidnappings of thousands, each and every year, thousands of Coptic Christian teenage girls who are then forced to convert to Islam and forced to marry, quote, marry a Muslim man. Make no mistake, Mr. Speaker, the Middle East is at a critical juncture. We are witnessing the systematic extinction of centuries-old religious communities. South Central Asia also is systematically failing its religious minorities. The late Shahbaz Bhatti, Federal Minister for Minorities in Pakistan, gave his life to fight for the injustice and atrocities suffered by religious minorities in Pakistan. The government of Pakistan has since abolished the Ministry of Minorities, perhaps under the false impression that it does not matter in relations with the United States. A special envoy for religious minorities sends the right message at the right time, empowers a diplomat with the access to the President and hopefully the presidents throughout the region and all those who are concerned. The rights of religious minorities matter, and we will not look askance at their destruction. I yield back the balance of our time.
Gentleman yields back the balance of his time. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass H.R. 440 as amended? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the Chair, two-thirds being an affirmative,
Mr. Speaker, I request the yeas and nays.
Gentlemen request the yeas and nays. The yeas and nays are requested. All those in favor of taking this vote by the yeas and nays will rise and remain standing until counted. Sufficient number having arisen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the House will stand in recess subject to the call of the Chair for a period less than 15 minutes.
The House has been debating a bill which would establish a special envoy for religious freedom in the Near East and South Central Asia.